We continue to emphasize the importance of going and visiting a person's person page before you request the ordinances to take them to the temple. There's a lot of reasons for this. One is that oftentimes in updating their information, improving it, and correcting it, you're able to either find duplicates or find spouses, parents, children, different people, and take additional individuals to the temple in the process. So I wanted to show you a quick example of the kind of interview that you might do for a person before you took them to the temple. I was going to try to find somebody using descendancy research, and I went to James Kivett. You notice when I hover over him in a fan chart view, at the base of his name a fan appears. When I click that, James comes to the central position here, and then I can just change the view from the fan chart to descendancy view. And then we don't have any temples or anything that indicates work that needs to be done for James's direct family. So I'm going to go ahead and click this 4 for 4 generations. That will give me James and his 4 generations of descendants coming down from him. When I scroll down, you'll see that there are several blue temples. Blue temples mean that somebody has requested the ordinance. Now I'm going to mess this up because right here is the person that I want to work with, and what happened was that I started working with her and added sources, and then realized that she would be a good demonstration, and so I undid the work that I did. But in the process of undoing it, even though she is indicated with green temples, that she needs all of her work done, for some reason the system hasn't updated to change it from a blue to an orange or a green. Originally it was an orange because Mary Veronica Pribil didn't have enough information to be taken to the temple. And you'll also notice that she was born in 1910, so even if she did have enough information, I couldn't take her. I almost ignored her because of those 2 factors, but I saw that there was a record hint, and I went ahead and decided that I would just take a moment to look over her person page. I simply click on her name, and then I come to the person link at the bottom, and I right click and click open link in a new tab. Now I'll have Mary Veronica's person page before me, and you'll notice that I've got 2 sources there. All I've got is a birth date with no birthplace, no death date, no marriage date, but I do have a husband, and that husband has already had his ordinances performed except for his sealing to Mary. So I'm interested in trying to just improve Mary's information a little bit. Sometimes the sources that are already added have not been milked for information. You'll notice this first one is just an obituary of George. So this is George G. Kivett's obituary, and Mary is mentioned in it. So we don't get much information about her. This wasn't an overly helpful source. But the second one is Mary's marriage record to George. And so what we do get there is we get a marriage date and a marriage place that we didn't have before. I'm going to go ahead and open a second person page for her, and I'm going to come down here. When you want to add marriage information, it's kind of difficult to discern how to do it. You have to click this little pencil and paper here, and when you do that, the third thing down in the box that opens up is marriage events. So I'm going to click add event, and I'm going to go back to my source here, and it's going to be 12 September 38 in O'Neill, Holt, Nebraska. And you'll notice I don't have to spell or capitalize. It's going to give it to me in the right format. So I just click on it once I started that out. And then O'Neill. It's spelled still didn't give it to me. E-I-L-L. O'Neill Hope, Nebraska, United States. And then I say verified on marriage record and save it. And now I've got their marriage date in a standardized format. And if she was an Orange Temple before, now she would be a Green Temple because we have a date and a place for her of a vital record. I would much prefer to have an actual birth date, and unless I can change this 1910, I still can't take her until a year or so from now. So I'm going to look at the 1920 census record that is over here as a record hint. When I go to add it, I notice the record hint's on the left and my information's on the right. You'll notice the census record says that she was born in 1909 in Nebraska. So I'm getting there. Now it's 2019 right now, and so I really won't be able to take her to the temple until the end of 1909 unless I can find a more accurate birth date, but that's still better than what I have. So I'm going to put here verifies birth and family relations. Now I've added that. I'm going to come back up and go back to her. And I can change this now so that it reads 1909. And I'm going to put in Nebraska. And then I'm going to say verified on 1920 census record. And then I'm going to save it. I still would like to get something a little bit better. I have no more record hints, and so a lot of times the easy thing to do is to just click on your little ancestry link. Hopefully you've set yourself up an account. Once you have an account, you click on it, and Ancestry will use the information that you had on your person to conduct a search. And it's not showing it here like it usually does, but they did conduct the search anyway. And the first thing that is up here is Mary Veronica Kivett. Her mother is an O'Donnell and her father is a Pribil. Let's just look down here. O'Donnell, Pribil. So we like that. And this gives us an exact birth date and an exact death date. And so I very much like this record. I want to bring it over. The way that I do that is to go ahead and click on it. You see all the information that's been indexed. I go ahead and highlight this. I copy it. Then I unhighlight it. I go to Record Seek. I click Record Seek. I click that I want to create a source in Family Search. Then I will just paste that information that was indexed. I'll click Next, and then I've got to go back to Veronica and I've got to get her ID number. Then this always hides behind your screen. I'm going to paste that ID number, and then I'm going to I know that I've attached it to the right Mary Veronica Pribil by using the ID number, and I'm just going to say verifies birth and death information. And then I'm going to tag it to the name, the birth, and the death, and I will close it. And then I create and attach, and then it creates and tells me you've got a source, it's been added, and I'll go ahead and close that and bring my screen back up here. Now, at this point, if I want to refresh my screen, you'll see that I have 4 sources. I added that 1920, and I just added the death index. So I'm going to, again, use one of my other Veronicas. I'm going to click on this one, and it says the birth date is 25 October 1908, and you can see why that's exciting, because now I can do her work. 25 October 1908, and did it give me a better Nope, it just said birth is Nebraska. So I'm going to go ahead and say verified on death index. And then I'm going to save it. So now I've got a good birth date that qualifies me to be able to take her, because she's now born before the 110-year rule. And I would love to have a death date, and that source that I had lets me have one. So I'm going to put in 5 January 94. And I didn't remember the place. Oh, San Diego, okay. And so and then I'm going to say verified on death index and save it. Now in that short period of time, I have taken her, who originally was an orange temple, and I've qualified her to be a green temple, and then I've qualified her to be able to be taken to the temple by somebody who's not her closest relative, just by using the sources that existed, a record hint over here, and one source from Ancestry. There might have been other sources on Ancestry as well, but isn't it fun to be able to click and have the very first one be such a powerful source? So at this point now that I have made her information be so accurate, and that will be so helpful to other people as they go and try to build this family more completely, in fact, we could probably get some children to add. I wonder if when I went to this Ancestry records, if I had, here's a 1930 census record, and you'll notice at that point she is still in the home, and then there's another birth and death information one. So I was going to say you could probably find a 1940 and census record and maybe have one child by then, since they were married for a couple of years. But that's what we do. Then you'd come to the ordinances, and you're able to say, I'm ready, I feel confident requesting all these ordinances. And so I'm going, because for some reason, since it didn't update since I backed out of everything, it looks like I'm going to have to go this way. The rules tell me just don't take somebody that's not your ancestor, a famous person, a Jewish Holocaust victim, or somebody that's born within the last 110 years. I accept those rules, and then I request it, and now they've all been requested by me on this day, and I can take her. You'll notice that she is at the top of my temple reserved list at this point. Mary Veronica Pribil.